something different seems to be happening behind the scenes at St. James Park. It is not the kind of movement that explodes into immediate headlines or sparks instant reactions on social media. On the contrary, everything is unfolding quietly, almost in a calculated manner, as if every step is being carefully measured. For the more attentive supporter, this discreet atmosphere is usually a clear sign that important decisions are being analyzed away from the spotlight, and when that happens, it is rarely by chance. The current moment at Newcastle United helps to explain this scenario. The team is going through a phase of consolidation, trying to balance sporting ambition, financial planning and competitiveness in the Premier League. Within this context, rumours begin to emerge subtly, first among specialist journalists and then in broader media outlets. These are not rumours thrown into the air, but pieces of information that connect, forming a puzzle that sparks curiosity and keeps supporters in a constant state of expectation. When certain names start to circulate repeatedly in the corridors of European football, it is natural for attention to increase, especially when those names are linked to clubs with great tradition and ambitious projects. For those who follow Newcastle closely, this kind of news generates a mix of excitement and caution. And it is exactly at this point that it is worth remembering how this channel grows thanks to supporters who follow every detail and choose to subscribe, so they do not miss any important updates. Gradually, the information begins to take shape. The scenario involves quiet battles, heavy competition within the Premier League itself, and decisions that could directly impact the course of the season. It is not just about strengthening the squad, but about thinking of the club's future, the profile of players who fit the project and the right moment to act. Newcastle, known for its recent strategic approach, once again seems to be observing everything very closely. According to information published by SportsBoom, Newcastle United are keeping a close eye on the situation of Jonathan David, the striker currently contracted to Juventus. The 26-year-old Canadian is seen by many analysts as one of the most complete forwards in world football, and his name has appeared on the radar of several English clubs, placing the Magpies directly in what promises to be an intense race. According to reports, Newcastle would be willing to test Juventus' resolve with what is considered a substantial offer. Even so, any move in January is viewed as extremely complex. The Italian club, managed by Luciano Spalletti, have shown no interest in negotiating the player at this moment and see him as a fundamental piece of the squad, reinforcing the stance that he is not for sale. Jonathan David joined Juventus in July after leaving Lille on a free transfer, signing a 5-year contract. His spell at the French club was remarkable: 109 goals in 232 appearances over 5 seasons, numbers that placed him among the most consistent forwards in Europe. This track record is one of the main reasons for the constant interest from Premier League clubs, including Newcastle, Chelsea and Tottenham. Interestingly, despite the expectations surrounding his arrival in Italy, David faced initial difficulties in Serie A. The striker went through a run of 16 games without scoring, something unusual for a player with his background. Even so, he has recently found the net again in consecutive wins against Sassuolo and Cremonese, signaling a possible return of confidence and adaptation to Italian football. Even with more modest numbers this season, with 5 goals and 28 appearances, Jonathan David's reputation remains high. In the last Champions League campaign, for example, the Canadian scored 7 goals and provided 2 assists in 10 matches, a performance that reinforced his international standing. It is no coincidence that he has been described by analysts as one of the best strikers in the world. Another relevant point is the player's own desire. According to reports in the European press, David would be interested in testing himself in the Premier League, seeing English football as the next major challenge of his career. This personal factor often carries weight in future negotiations, even though Juventus are maintaining a firm stance for now. Situations like this require patience and strategy, something Newcastle have shown in recent transfer windows. The possible entry of Newcastle into this race raises important questions. Does the club really need another striker at this moment? During the last transfer window, the Magpies invested around £124 million in the signings of Nick Woltemade and Yoane Wissa, significantly strengthening the attacking department. At the time, those moves suggested that the position was well covered. Woltemade, for example, has had an immediate impact since his arrival. The forward has already recorded 7 goals and 2 assists in 18 Premier League matches, showing consistency and a quick adaptation to Eddie Howe's style of play. His presence on the pitch has been constant and effective, which makes the emergence of rumours involving another high-profile attacking name even more intriguing. Yoane Wissa, on the other hand, endured a more complicated start to the season, hampered by a knee injury that kept him sidelined during the early months. The Democratic Republic of Congo international only returned in December but has already made his mark by scoring his first Premier League goal for Newcastle in the 3-1 win over Burnley. Since then, he has started 2 of the last 3 matches. Within this context, a potential move for Jonathan David can be seen less as an immediate necessity and more as a strategic opportunity. Players of this level rarely become available, especially when they are still in their prime years. Newcastle, alert to market movements, know that acting early can be the difference between securing a major deal or watching a rival strengthen. It is also worth remembering that the competition is fierce. Chelsea and Tottenham are also closely monitoring the Canadian's situation and, according to reports, are among the clubs leading the race for his signature. This kind of battle demands quick and well-calculated decisions, which reinforces the importance of following these stories closely. That is why subscribing to the channel ensures supporters do not miss any important developments. From Juventus' perspective, the message remains clear. After beating several clubs to secure David's signing before the start of the season, the Italian side show no willingness to open negotiations now. Internally, he is regarded as a key part of the sporting project, and any change in stance would depend on very specific circumstances, such as an exceptional offer or a shift in the player's own wishes. For Newcastle supporters, this story represents more than just another transfer rumor. It reflects the club's new status on the European stage, capable of being mentioned alongside Premier League giants in negotiations involving elite players. Even if a deal does not materialize in January, the mere fact that Newcastle's name appears in this context already says a great deal about the evolution of the project. As the transfer window progresses, each day can bring new details, updates, and twists. Modern football is dynamic, and situations considered unlikely today can change rapidly. That is why following reliable sources, such as SportsBoom, and staying informed is essential to understanding what is really happening behind the scenes at St. James Park. In the end, Newcastle's potential move for Jonathan David symbolizes ambition, planning, and long-term vision. Regardless of the outcome, this movement reinforces that the club is alert to major market opportunities and willing to compete at the highest level. If you want to continue following in-depth analysis, confirmed news, and exclusive behind-the-scenes updates, it is worth subscribing to the channel and becoming part of this increasingly engaged community.